James, how you going?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, good. Nice shirt. Decked out with
Thank
merch.
Have to, man. Have to.
Just gonna hand it over to you to give a quick intro on what Simpler is and how it can help NFT communities.
Yeah, easy, man. So what SIMPL is at its essence is just a customer relationship manager, right? And it uses purposely built technology that analyzes on and off chain data. And then we build that into a sales, marketing, engagement, and a services hub. And each of those hubs have like purpose-built tools in them to help make the whole application process, the whole kind of running and operating a NFT Web3 project simpler. And so the way I view things is like there's two different types of workload, right? There's productive workload and there's busy workload, right? And often busy is not productive. And in Web3, there is just so much busy work because no one's taken the time to automate processes or at least optimize processes. And so you're left with a situation where there's just a lot of you having to do the same thing repetitively over and over and over. And so like you end up spending half your day just doing the same thing because you're trying to achieve a goal and you've got to book a whole bunch of things in. You've got to remember to post certain things in Discord, do certain competitions, draw a winner, launch a competition, promote that during the process of it. And all these things you have to kind of like all these little moving parts that you've got to try and keep going. So what our platform does is it kind of simplifies that down to a point where it's really like you set something up once and then it just self-executes the entire way through. We're definitely optimizing things that we found were more efficient during our own mint, but we found were ways that we could definitely improve the efficiency as well. So we've redesigned a few things at the moment. So the product itself isn't launched yet. We'll launch in a few weeks' time with our first partners that come on board to use it. So the one thing that we're looking at bringing out very initially will be our verification tool for Discord. And then once that's out, we're doing an anti-theft feature. So any Solana NFT project that uses us can enable the anti-theft feature. And what that will do is automatically brick any NFT that is traded on a 0% marketplace until the royalties are back paid on it. But it will brick it the second it basically interacts with that 0% marketplace. So it should be shown as being bricked. And then that way, no one can complain and say, I had no idea. And because we control the verification in Discord to get the roles, their NFT won't be able to get them access to the community either. So that's where community is 90% of what the value is in most of these projects. So we're able to take that away completely. And so the prevalence of 0% marketplaces to me is a massive risk factor for Solana ecosystem as a whole, because all that's going to happen if we allow 0% marketplaces to take hold is that startups will just go to other chains and you won't see any more innovation on Solana. And it's just the blue chips that are going to remain here because they've already made their tens of millions of dollars in royalties and they can afford to. And all the new projects will die and no new projects will start. So we want to try and make sure we can build something that solves that problem.
So your platform will have sort of Discord integration. If a person owns a NFT, part of that community, they get access to certain channels in Discord. Is that how you've got that already, or?
Yeah, we were using that stuff. Yeah, so it's part of our services hub. So the services hub is designed for post-mint projects. So it will handle things like royalties, staking, anti-theft, what else is in there? Power-ups, all these different things that we're putting in there as ways of kind of like really streamlining the operations side of things when it comes to projects. With the point being is that like a lot of projects out there don't have developing teams and stuff like that. Like there might be community projects where they don't have a developer, or there might be an art project and all that kind of stuff. And for them to go out and create these custom solutions for staking and things like that, it means that they're basically, using a very basic version of something that doesn't really add any value to their project, and it just becomes a staking for the sake of staking kind of thing. And so what we want to do on our side of the fence is create something that is easily customizable and really, really powerful to allow them to create the kind of staking that they want and to get the community involved in a new way. So that's what we're moving towards with that. Last week, we just released our Power Ups feature. So what that does is basically any project that's using our platform can say NFT A plus NFT B equals outcome C, right? And they can create whatever that outcome is. And our platform automates that for them. So the way we're testing that feature at the moment is our Genesis medallion. So if you have our Genesis medallion and a bounty hunter, you can apply the Genesis medallion to the bounty hunter and we drop the royalties by 33%. And that's all handled on chain.
Yeah, awesome. So you talk about last week releasing that. Does that mean the platform is live? It's just for, private clients or something?
It's live for us. So we're testing a lot of the stuff. And then as we go through different development stages. So we're going to be our first customer for a lot of the things that we build. The Genesis medallion is kind of the first port of call that will enable all of the technology with, because it's our experimental token. So when we have some new exciting tech that we want to test out, instead of us pushing it to all 8,008 bounty hunters, we can push it to 2,000 Genesis tokens first, or Genesis medallions, and see how that affects a smaller cohort and get more instant feedback from them. We roll that out to either all the bounty hunters, we roll that out to other clients.
Okay. Will you be automating or helping automate the mint and launching of NFTs in the future?
So we're partnering with launch pads. So we don't want to be a launch pad ourselves, because it really constrains our overall market. So we want to partner with launch pads. So the first one we're partnered with is Trust Labs. So we're going through the process at the moment of outlining what our integration with them is going to look like, and when the deliverables for that is, and which clients are there is going to use us first. And the idea is like, if we can create something that's kind of more plug and play so that anyone can use us. I mean, our target demographic is really projects, advisory companies, marketing companies, launch pads that want to use us.
By cutting down that work, what do you think, how much hours of a day do you think people can save by using your product?
So I'll give you an example. So pre-mint, when we went to go launch our first NFT collection, I had to hire someone to run collabs basically every day, right? So he was doing about 10 to 12 hour days, 6 to 7 days a week, just to run the collabs. So that's approving the collabs, and then when people come into Discord, going through all the proof channels and then assigning roles and keeping track of who had what and when and all that kind of stuff, and whose allocations were maxed out. And it was a very, very manual process. And so literally, 10 to 12 hour days, 6 to 7 days a week, he was in here doing that. And always, like every day, he'd be like, I feel like I'm running behind. Like there's so many people that I haven't gotten to yet. Like I didn't want to do meetings because he was like, I have to do this. And so when we scrapped that and we went and drilled down on what's now simpler, that was one of the first things that we did, was like, that's just busy work. There's got to be a way of automating that. So we automated that process, and we got that down to 15 to 20 minutes a day.
Awesome. So what, like 12 hours of work, you can basically have a sort of semi-trained, experienced person using Simpler and getting that down to 15 minutes a day.
Yeah, so we got it. So by the time we launched Bounty Hunters, 719 approved collaborations. Yeah, and we had onboarded, I think it was like 8,500 or 9,000 people just through the collaborations. So if you think about how much manual handling that would have been to go through all those roles and give like eyeball someone's proof and all that kind of stuff, and then track that on a spreadsheet, like that was all automated for us.
Yeah, I've got a huge spreadsheet as well. I'm tracking NFTs on them. So sounds like you've got a new customer right here. So that's a pain. That's a huge pain. Tracking, like I think I've tried some tools on Solana where you basically go to a website, punch in the minting authority, it spits out all the NFTs in your collection. And then you basically got to figure out, it tells you who the NFT holder is. But yeah, you're basically manually checking their address with the address in this spreadsheet. And then figuring out if they're validated, basically. So
So we automate that. We automate the role verification for once you post mint. So if you want to do, if you own our NFT, you get X number of channels, or you get a certain role that gives you privileges to certain channels and stuff like that. We can do that. Cool. You could do it even around rarities and stuff like that. Yeah. We're just looking at adding the ability for staking at the moment to do that, because some projects are custodial stake, so it leaves the wallet of the holder, so you don't want that person to lose their access just because their NFT is no longer in their wallet. So it's just working on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay. So you just mentioned rarity, so you can look at the traits of the NFT, and if they're common, uncommon, rare, epic, they'd go into different Discord channels and have other back-end automation.
So that would be something that the client would be setting up. So it's like, that's part of our verification tool that we're rolling out, would be that you can basically delineate which rarity site you want to use to do your rarities, and then you can create your bands. So if it's between this rarity and that rarity, you can give it this role. This rarity and this rarity, you can give it another role.
And it's all there's no coding. This is like a GUI drop-down box on the web page.
Yeah, everything is GUI.
Yeah, awesome. That's cool. That's really cool. And then in terms of scaling up, so let's say a project's launched a whole bunch of NFTs. Using your platform, you would help them do collabs, which obviously helps scale how many people are in their community. What other sort of things do you help for scaling NFT communities or automating things?
So the way we set this up is that the base kind of product is what you call a CRM, so customer relationship manager. So we integrate with Twitter and with Discord, and then we track the points between those products and your project. And then as people come through and they kind of like, create an account with our service because they want to interact with your product or your project, we then combine those together and we start, building up a more detailed background on who these people are and what they do and what their habits are, what their previous buying habits are, and all that kind of stuff. We start giving you, quite deep insights into who you've attracted into your sales pipeline. This is, if you're a pre-product, pre-mint project. So you get an idea about what their previous buying habits are, what NFTs they've minted before, if they've minted your category of NFT before, all that kind of stuff on a collective level. That's the sales funnel and analytics technology that we're building. We use part of that already for our own mint. You've got the access lists feature, which is also in the Sales Hub, and so that allows you to create different access lists that have different perks and privileges and different tasks required to complete them, and it kind of funnels you through the product. So you've got missions and you've got bounties and you've got other tasks that they need to complete, and to get up to the project how they use those tools. They can make it as easy as they want, or they can make it as hard as they want, and anything in between. Got a pre-sale tool that we're building, which I can't talk about. Then you've got the funnels. So funnels is a visualization tool that allows you to visualize people's customer journey through your product or through your project. So you can start to understand if you've got a hold up somewhere, so you can visually see it. Or if you've got like a high churn rate at a certain particular point in time. So you can say, okay, so people are coming in here, but they're leaving here. Is there any reason why they're leaving at this exact point in time, right? Like, is there a bug here, or is this task too hard, or whatever it is?
And
you've got the collab manager, and the collab manager automates the collaboration process to a point where you get an application come through, and then you can just sit through the applications and say approve, and then you can customize the application approvals if you want to. You can set a default set of requirements and kind of upgrades that they get. So when you hit approve, you can hit approve with default or approve custom, and it's up to you how you want to do that. We just did approved default the entire way through. We set up default for us. That's the sales hub. So I'd say the majority of that is already built out to an extent. The pre-sale features being designed and the technology is being engineered. The funnels is done. The access list is done. The collaboration manager is done. Then you've got marketing hub, which gives you kind of like deeper customer insights using off-chain technology. and data points that allow you to kind of see where people in your audience are hanging out and how you can maybe find more of them, especially the ones that are like the higher conversion rate kind of people. Couple of other cool things that we do in our marketing hub is our campaign planner. So our campaign planner allows you to manage your campaign across Discord and Twitter simultaneously. So you can create your campaign, days or weeks in advance, including all your announcements, all your announcements of the announcement coming up, all that kind of stuff, and do all that in one location. And as you're doing that, you can create adverts for it, which go into Discord. You can create bounties attached to those. So it's not like you're doing 4 different things at once. You just got one workflow where you set up the entire thing.
So how deep is the Twitter integration or marketing integration? So can you type the tweet from Simpler and then hit the post button and it goes out to Twitter and posts it?
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. And then obviously there's like a calendar view to schedule it.
Yeah. You build your entire campaign from within Simpler, and you can choose. It then takes the information that you're typing into your post, your tweet, and then if you've turned that into a Discord announcement, it auto populates the announcement, and then you can edit that how you want. You can choose which announcement channel you want that to go into. You can choose if you want to notify a particular role or not. And then you can also turn that into an advert. So then what we did for our own one is we realized, hey, a lot of people aren't seeing our announcements. And it's not because they didn't want to see the announcements, it's because they just had kind of like too much going on in the interface to see it, because everything was notifications.
Yep.
So when you've got everything as a notification, nothing's a notification because you become blind to it.
Spam. Yeah.
So what we did was we created in general chat. We realized pretty quickly looking at our analytics, because our bot tracks all the interactions in Discord, so we can get a better understanding of how Discord's being used. And so we realized pretty early on that majority of people were just hanging out in general chat. They weren't really going anywhere else. So we started creating little adverts that played through in the general chat to say, hey, this announcement's come out, go and check it out. And then we linked through to it. And that increased tenfold number of people actually going through and reading those announcements. So just stuff like that. Right? So
it's community management as well. So, wow, there's so much back-end work that you're sort of automating into one platform. It's awesome.
Yeah, so we built the platform based on our own experience of trying to run a project. And we're like, this is a shit sandwich. How can we make this a better experience, right? So too many, I think that too many teams and too many founders waste so much time trying to manage community and just doing busy work, right? And then they don't get to deliver on the product that they're trying to do. They don't get to work on their roadmap because they're so busy doing busy work instead of actually doing productive work.
Yeah, awesome. As a builder or an entrepreneur, you used to work on ScoopTix, right? So you pivoted from that into Simpler. Do you ever think, did you want to just go over what ScoopTix was and how you sort of evolved into Simpler? And then do you ever think you'll go back to ticketing? Obviously, the future of ticketing is pretty much going to be NFTs in my eyes. So do you ever think you'll go back into that industry?
No. So what ScoopTix was an event management system that was Web3 enabled, right? I personally am not a big fan of NFT tickets because I think that it's just noise on the blockchain with no added real utility outside of, actually there's no real added utility. I've yet to see a good use case where someone's shown me NFT tickets where I've thought, yeah, that could have been done. That couldn't have been done without a blockchain, right? And I think that's one thing that builders need to start asking themselves these questions is like, is this just blockchain for the sake of blockchain? And if the answer to that is yes, then don't use blockchain, because all you're doing is creating noise on the blockchain. And it means that when real innovation comes out, your blockchain is going to be too noisy and there's going to be too much stuff going on. All right. And we're going to have scaling issues. Right. So
I think I got that from Gary Vee. So he was talking about, you could have the NBA finals and people collect those tickets from the finals, and then they might sell them for $3,000 5 years down the track. So it's basically digitizing that to be able to be sold on a
Yeah,
marketplace?
so what you would digitize there would be what you call a POAP, right? So proof of attendance.
Yeah.
Not so much the ticket itself, right? So, to me, I still have yet to see a good use case for it where I thought, perfect, like that enables. So the yardstick that we use here is like, because we're on and off chain, right? So we build stuff on both types of backend, and we say, when we're trying to determine what we're going to do here, it's like, does adding this on the blockchain unlock some kind of security or feature set that we couldn't do otherwise? And because often what happens when you add blockchain technology, that complicates things at some point, either for yourself or for the user, right? And if you're creating a poor user experience in some way, it needs to be for the benefit of something else that outweighs the poor user experience. And if it doesn't outweigh the poor user experience, then all you're doing is create a poor user experience with an even poorer reason to do so. And so that doesn't scale very well. And so that's not our goal. Our goal is to create the best user experience we can, and to utilize blockchain technology to really leverage the upside to it, and not use it in places that doesn't require it, because it's just going to create noise. And so that's kind of our design methodology moving forwards. When it comes to ScoopTix, that's our exact design methodology for ScoopTix as well. And we decided to release an NFT, which was called Scoopy. We had a couple of advisors at the time that were advising us on different things and how to get into space. And I've been involved in the crypto space for years, right? So 2016, I got into the space, or early 2016, late 2015. And so NFTs were kind of nuanced still to me, but I understood the overall kind of premise of it and the technology behind it. So we had some advisors that were advising us and telling us a few different things, and some of our original investors had also launched NFTs. So when we were going through the process with Scoopy, I was like, well, I've got like almost like business consultancy and marketing and sales kind of background. I used to go into businesses and help them unfuck themselves, is how I used to say it. And long story short, like went looking for a whole bunch of different tool sets that I was used to, like CRM being one of them, right? Because you can automate a lot of processes around a CRM, and it does a lot of busy work for you. And there was just nothing that we could find, right? And like we just kept coming up empty. I talked to a whole bunch of different advisors. They all said, no, there's nothing like what you're talking about. I talked to our original investors. They all said the same thing. So we ended up just taking a part of what ScoopTix was, which was our loyalty members application, retooling it, adding Discord and Twitter to it, and started using that. And within a week, we had a few thousand people in our Discord, and very, very good feedback on the product. And so when we showed our advisors, and by this time we're just bringing in our second advisory company, and we showed our advisors, both sets of companies were like, when can we use this for our clients? And so we were like, oh, that's interesting. And so we showed it to our original investors that had launched projects, and they said, well, when can we use this for our projects? And I was like, oh, okay, that's more market validation. So then we started talking to more and more project founders, and I was jumping on calls, 1 to 2 founders a day, pretty much. And every single one of them was like, when can we use this? So I was like, okay, the market validation is too strong here. So we got to a point where we were like, okay, let's take a step back and have a think about this. Do we stay with ScoopTix and Scoopy, or do we kill that, complete the retooling process, and then relaunch with this new thing that we're doing? And so that was ultimately what we ended up doing. And went through a few iterations on names. I'm not going to say the other names were, because I really wasn't happy with them, but we ended up landing on SIMPL3R.
Yep. No, it's a good name. It definitely represents what the platform does in terms of helping founders automate that back-end processes. So when are you launching the product? Next week?
So we're launching a aspect of it next week with a closed beta group. That'll be for the verification tool and the anti-theft. And then we're working with one of our first partners. So kind of time to market for that is not just dictated by us, it's also dictated by them and their dev with integrating what our software is into their platform. So we're looking at that one is a bit more of a up in the air thing. I would say it would be a good few weeks until that's done. And that's just because it's not totally within our control.
Yeah. how does Simpler make money? Like, where's the revenue going to come in to the equation for yourselves?
Easy one, right? So this is Simpler itself is a SaaS protocol, right? So it's a SaaS program, and what we do is it's got the CRM itself is free to use and always will be, and then each of the hubs has a free tier, and then if you want certain features or certain capacities, you have to start paying for it in each of those different hubs. So you only pay for what you're going to be using.
Yep.
If, for example, you want to use the free tier and you want to increase your tier, so we'll use the Sales Hub for an example. So the Sales Hub, the free tier, you can have 1,000 people in your whitelist. So if you buy a bounty hunter and you stake the bounty hunter to the Sales Hub, it will increase the capacity of that by 33%. So then you get 1,333 people in your whitelist, and you can keep stacking them on top to ever increase the capacity. What stacking bounty hunters won't do is it won't increase the features that you have. So if you're on the free tier, you're only ever going to have the free tier features. You're not going to get the pro features, right? You have to start paying for that, but you can then increase the capacities by boosting it with bounty hunters. That's just for
how do you pay for bounty hunters?
You buy them on Magic Eden as an example, right? So it's an NFT.
And that's basically Sol or... Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Will you take fiat in the future? Or?
Yeah, so credit card facilities and stuff like that is something that we're looking into. Just be down the line. But the actual SaaS product itself will be able to take fiat or USDC or Sol, whatever it is, to pay for it on a monthly basis. But the actual selling and buying of the NFTs will probably leave with marketplaces. We are looking at ways of integrating some form of sale via our system, but from somewhere like Magic Eden. So we're not taking away volume from the market. We're still supplying the market with the volume.
Yeah. You're talking about Magic Eden. So you've been part of the Solana community, launched NFTs on Solana. I guess why Solana for yourself? Is it the community? Is it the scalability? Can you give us insight into that?
So Solana had a few nuances that were kind of, from a technical perspective, it wasn't as easy as operating on something like ETH, which is the reason why we wanted to do it, because we thought it would be a bit more fun to develop on. We are going cross-chain, so we are adding ETH and Polygon and Immutable X later on, probably early Q1 next year. But Solana itself has a few quirks that we thought would be fun to try and solve. The reason why we chose Sol.
I believe the future's multi-chain. So, there's like a few properties of a blockchain, being cheap, fast, scalable, secure, decentralized, stable. So if the blockchain doesn't meet any of those properties, then project builders like ourselves are just going to move to wherever the chain is that people are using, and it actually functions to function for their business.
I'd also add in there royalties, right? So if we allowed 0% royalties to become the norm, then projects are just not going to do Solana, right? Because they'll be like, well, I can go to Polygon, or I can go to ETH, or I can go to any other blockchain and get royalties. Whereas if I go to Solana, I can only basically make whatever I make it mint, right? And so, I would include royalties in that.
Like revenue from NFTs is like one of the biggest, motivators to start a business in Web3. So if that's gone, a lot of businesses are not going to use that model.
They'll just go to another chain, right? So Solana is already harder to build on because it's Rust, right? And so Solidity is a lot easier to learn, and that's why you get like a lot more kind of inexperienced devs operating on Solana, on Ethereum, whereas it's more people that have had Web2 jobs that come in as devs on Solana, because Rust is a harder kind of language to learn.
But everything's looking awesome for you, mate. So congrats on finding product market fit, and Looking like
the
you're
woods.
building up an awesome business.
Thanks, Ro. You have to pop into the office one day.
Yeah, will do. Will do for sure. Just near the quay by the looks of it.
Yeah, you can see.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, man.
Right.
Well, we'll catch you later. And thanks for your time and have fun building, and awesome to see your progress. Cheers.
All right, thanks, Ro. Catch up.
Bye. I will be at the Jump Hacker House running on the 1st through to the 3rd of November in Lisbon, Portugal. I'll also be at Breakpoint from the 4th through to the 7th in Lisbon. I hope to see you there. If not, keep building.